Hey guys, welcome back to Near Mint Condition. I'll be your new reader. Omar's here with me. Hello.
I am. You're not alone. I'm here, and Tina's also with us, but she's having some technical difficulties, so we're giving her a chance to catch up. How have you been, Maddie?
Pretty good, pretty busy. As you see, I'm not in my usual location.
No,
I'm in
this is
my
new.
office, which is not as well lit. It doesn't have all my stuff, and I've got this really fun little cowlick or whatever this is. I'm living. How are
Oh,
you?
I like it. I'm doing okay. I got a film after this, so I'm doing okay, and I'm glad that I got to read this. So it was a good book.
I'm glad
Spoilers.
you liked it. Yay.
It was a really interesting look inside of somebody's head, and you never know where to go with those things too.
Yeah.
It can go bad or it can go good, but I'm curious what Tina thought because she's not the biggest Western graphic novel type of reader outside
Yeah.
of superheroes. So
There's definitely
this,
a lot of like there are some manga influences I feel like in Zoe's work
oh, and
with
her artwork,
this. Yeah,
absolutely,
one of these I kept saying I will talk more about it, but there's a creature in here
yeah.
that looks like it's straight out of a Mamoru Hosoda film. So the guy who did Summer Wars and Digimon the movie. That's what it
Oh,
makes me feel like every time I see it. And so I have such a visceral like reaction. I'm like, I really like that creature she's created. So people at home, we were talking about is Lonely at the Center of the Earth by Zoe Thorogood. This is for I mean, it's still early. It's only February, but I have a feeling this is gonna be my top read of the year.
top read. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to knock this one down. This was a really good read. I don't have my physical copy because I let Tina borrow it. Otherwise, I'd be holding it up.
Yeah, I lent mine to a friend too. Right after I finished, I was like, "You need to read this."
We're hoping Tina jumps on here in a
Yeah,
second.
Tina's having some connectivity issues,
Yeah.
so hopefully that will improve.
So we will say hi to people. This book is so good. You know, if it gets a
Cleveland.
Cycle Cleveland seal of approval, then you know it's got to be at least okay. What's up, Josh? And James is in the house, pretty hyped. I read this a couple weeks ago and haven't had a chance to talk to anyone about it. Well, now you can talk to us about it.
Us,
And you know,
Mark.
Mark, Mark knows nothing about this book, but he's just here for educated. What's up, Storm Nation? Read it last week. Very good. Reed is here. How's it going, Reed?
Reed. I talked to Reed about this book live a few weeks ago.
Oh,
Because we both, I mean, spoiler alert, really loved it.
mhm.
So don't be
Really loved
surprised.
it. Really loved it.
So I guess I can get into what kind of is the gist of this, and then we'll get a little more
Yeah.
into the details. But
So
basically, Zoe's in the part where she wants to write a book, write a graphic novel, create a graphic novel, and it's not coming together.
you keep talking. I got to check on this back
You got
camera
it.
right here. You keep
You
going.
got
You
it.
got this. You got this.
So basically, it's a whole book of her trying to make a book, which sounds really simplistic, but there's so much to it, and frequently you're following her trying to create this while also kind of experiencing what her depression is like and what her anxieties are like and how that shows itself. So you get some monologue, but you also get kind of her talking to different facets of her own being in a really neat way. And it's this kind of mixed media adventure into that this autobiography. Um, I was blown away by this. I'm glad that Reed's in the chat here because I know that he's going to have some really great ways to talk about this because I really enjoyed talking to him about this. Um, but oh, hey, people.
Doing algebra and I don't get it. Can you help me?
You were asking the wrong people.
You're in the wrong channel. We need a super chat for that though. Is that Tina popped by last night? Yes, that was Tina that popped here last night to borrow the book. And she had no idea I was doing a live stream. Hi guys, I'm looking forward to knowing more about this book.
Yay!
Yeah, so
I'm curious what you think because is this your first Zoe? Because I don't know if you read The Impending Blindness of Billy Scott. I haven't read it.
No, I haven't read that, but I did read Rain, and I
Mhm.
loved Rain. And if you haven't,
I'm
you
going to.
should. I'm doing a hidden gems on it this coming week, or they'll be out sometime this month.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of the books I already had in there. That was the first time I was exposed to her artwork outside of covers because she did like some character design covers for Marvel and
Yeah.
DC. And like we were saying, like whenever you do one of these autobiographical type of graphic novels, you never know where it's going to go, right? You never know how deep it's going to go. I will say that definitely a little bit of a trigger warning for people that have suffered through depression and self harm and all that stuff. It's in there. Drugs, which she makes it pretty clear, like how she handles it, like telling people, like, "Hey, don't do drugs unless you're 25 years old," or how old is she? 23 or whatever
Yeah.
age she was, and then you can make your own decisions. So all that stuff is in there, and I found it really interesting how she changes the shape of her face, like during different situations. How she's dealing with depression ever since she was a child, and it is 6 months of her life as she is trying to get back into the normality of life outside of the year 2020. After everything shut down, she wasn't allowed to go to conventions and go travel, and now things are opening back up. She finds a connection with somebody that also shares her craft, but that happens to live in America. Did you mention? I'm sorry. Did you mention that she was from?
Oh yeah, so she's in the UK,
Mhm.
and part of this book is about her like what she thinks the book is going to be about is having an appearance at a convention in the U.S. and ends up falling through,
Yes.
which is great. I mean, it really sucks for her, but in the book it's interesting because she just restarts the book with the whole title sequence and everything.
Yeah, I like
Eventually
that.
does get to go to America, but it's the way she just keeps restarting it is also there's so many
Yeah.
things in this book.
There's a lot that goes inside of her brain, so I think it's a really nice peek at the way some people think, because not everybody thinks the same, right? Tina, there you are in 4K now.
Hey,
All you did need to do was a
Hey.
restart, right? You plug it back in.
we'll see if this works or not. My internet, I swear, I think it's more technical difficulties than anything else.
Yeah.
You seem pretty smooth now.
Well,
So
good.
you're the only one with the physical copy of the book, because Maddie also lent it to somebody, and you've got mine. Yes. So that is the cover. That cover, by the way, got my attention
Oh
last year.
yeah.
Oh
It's
yeah.
simple, but it's cute. It looks like anime. It looks like a slice of life, which this I don't I don't think it really is a slice of life. It's a
I
slice of her
honestly
life.
thought she was disappearing into a void here. I don't know if that's supposed to be intentional or if that's supposed to be like her shadow or
Oh
her.
yeah, that's the void that's taken her to the center of the earth. Hence
Oh,
the
okay,
title.
gotcha.
Um, but yeah, this book, I read it all in one sitting. It was a quick read, and it surprised me where it took me. I have a better understanding of at least her, right? Because, like I said, everybody
Yeah.
thinks differently, of at least the way that she thinks. And it was really cute reading the part about her being approached at conventions
Mm.
when people are like, "Hey, this is so relatable. This is so relatable," and she's just drowning in all these compliments and uh, people just saying that this book was so relatable. And I like the way that is drawn, because I do know people like that can't take compliments well, that would shy away from things like that. And it's quite adorable and also sad that that's how she deals with things like that.
So Tina, I'm eager to hear from you about what you thought about this because I've talked this book to death online. But what are your first impressions? Because I know that you read more manga than you do, I guess, especially like real life memoir comic books. And so I'm curious to hear your takes. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of manga influences here as well with Zoe's art.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see like there was a little homage of One Punch Man. You see her, her as a small child, like what she looked up to and was into, which was heavily influenced by manga. It is her art is somewhat influenced her. That's where she got her start. It looks like from manga, anime, and I really enjoyed it. It really brought to mind like the mixings, a lot of her artwork where she changes styles, she blends things, she does the collages. It really puts into mind a mixing from the 90s that I used to grow up. I actually did like a little with a friend of mine, a high school zine. And that's what we used to do, poetry, art, stuff like that. And it has those elements from the 90s that I'm used to, but with like a newer eye.
Hmm.
So I really liked the art as far as that composure of it.
So going back on the relatable part, I I was talking about this last time I talked about this book, but we were talking about she doesn't like the word relatable. You know, there's a lot of like pressure put on her by like to be the next thing in comics. Oh, her life is so relatable, all these things, which is absolutely going to happen in this book. And it's hard not to, for me, when I was reading, say, oh, so many things in this are relatable. Because I remember reading through this and being like, I feel like I can really identify with so much of what she's going through and the way that she goes through it, almost where you have these different emotions and thoughts, and it's like they're different little characters in your head. I was like, honestly, it's probably a healthier way to view it. um, and it just felt like it's really impressive that she's so vulnerable and blunt about how she's feeling and sharing that in a book. I don't see that in a lot of books. Even memoirs, I don't always see that level of just vulnerability. And I think that really endeared me more so to this book and what she's going through. Because you would think there's not a big plot here. There's not a big, like, you know, it's not like everything gets fixed by the end or anything. This is just her life.
I mean, it's more like a real slice of life. It's an autobio. So, like, it is what it is. It's kind of almost in a raw format. I think, as you said, like everything, like that one scene, we keep going back to that relatable moment. And there's a particular way she draws herself. And in that moment, when she's at the con, everybody has her face because they're like, oh, it's relatable, relatable. Yeah. And I think she understands, like, people can very easily see themselves in it. Those who are lonely, those who are depressed, those who go through this. And she understands that. But then at a certain type and point, it's just overwhelming. It's all the same. It becomes background noise. It becomes scary. It becomes something else.
Reed's got a good comment here. The book is just perfectly honest and aware of itself, which is what makes it so smart. In a way, it's a parody of the memoir genre while also being well done. I think Reed had a good point because Reed said before when he was reading this that, and on his Goodreads, that he was thinking that like every memoir from now on is going to be this, like, it's like we're entering a post Zoe Thorogood era with this book about how much of a change it's going to make within the memoir genre of comic books. And I agree. And honestly, I know there's a lot of pressure to put on her, and the pressure's already there from Billy Scott, which I haven't read yet, but I will. She talks about that in the book. That's its own pressure. But man, I get it. I get why they said that to her. Because I'm obsessed now. Like, I'm...
What kind of book is that? Is that something like this, or was it something that she created? Because I've only read Rain by her, or she only did the art for Rain. I'm sorry, but that's the only book that I've had her art in.
So the Impending Blindness of Billy Scott. So I haven't read it, but I know what it's about. It is a fiction book about this girl, Billy Scott, who's an artist who is going blind, and so it's just her experience with that. But it got rave reviews. I'm gonna get it, but I have to get it from like Avery Hill, the UK, so I can't order it domestically right now.
Is it not officially released here?
Well, I guess it was, but it's not that obtainable. The best place I saw was Avery Hill Publishing.
Okay. Yeah, so I've read a lot of stories like these. I've read a lot of memoirs done in this way. That a lot, like especially these last couple of years, just to try to find hidden gems and rereading them. I think hers is the most unique because she's so young, and I don't mean that in a demeaning way. Yeah. Usually with a memoir comes like a life lesson, right? Like a memoir starts like, oh, in my 20s I was so stupid, I messed around with this guy or this girl, did a lot of drugs, now I am here in my 50s and this is what I've learned. I don't know how old I can't remember. I think she's 23.
Well, that's retrospect.
She's like, here's 6 months of my life. And there is no lesson to learn at the end, except for one very important thing that she states, which I thought was so awesome. And I hope she still feels like that, which is the idea that why we're here as humans, like how we interact with each other and how we, as humanity, impact each other's life, whether it's for the good or for the worse. Like whether you're impacting someone's life, whether you know it or not. And I thought that was a good thing to learn at that age, because holy shit, that took me years to learn and to appreciate. So I hope that it's true, right? Like, I don't know. Some people take liberties with memoirs, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, I learned this lesson. I got to write something, right?" I hope it's honest, is what I'm saying. But I thought it was good, right? It was definitely an eye opener. Not relatable for me because I'm not like that, but I know people like that, so it really, you know, opened my eyes to the way that they think.
Yeah, I think
So
there's something to be said. Sorry,
no, that was it.
there's something to be said like about having something like this that's just within the 6 months. That almost is kind of nice because you realize memoirs and big things where
Mhm.
things do change and things do get better. But there's something to be said about reading something where 6 months didn't really go great, nothing big happened. Although she had something nice to say at the end of it after revisiting her book.
Mhm.
That sometimes just suck. And it's like, okay, other people have long periods of time where their life just sucks and their heads against them and things aren't exactly going their way. And it's nice to know that something still came with that. And for me, I know that like in my whole slump, I was like, this is thanks Zoe Thorogood. Besides just being in love with her art. And that
Yeah.
makes me want to draw, which I haven't read anything in a long time that made me want to be creative, and this does. But I think that was really comforting in a way.
I think that's good. I think and it's even though it's 6 months of her life, she gives an sort of a back look on what influenced her to make this moment in time happen, what her thought process was like for her as a small child. Just being good was supposed to clear the way of anything bad happening in your life, but as you come to terms with that as you age, you find out that's not really the case, and things are a lot more muddled than they were when you're a kid.
Yeah, and that's too real. That's too real. Oh man.
I will say, I wonder how people have been reacting to this. I know it just came out late last year, so I'm assuming it's getting a lot of praise. Um, because but one thing I noticed is she's not your stereotypical uh, protagonist in her own story, and I kind of like that. But I'm also used to stories like that too,
Hmm.
and I wonder how like people that are used to like finding a likable character right off the bat will react to her character because she's really not that nice to her parents. And towards the beginning, the way that she, you know, the way that you read it, it's like she's taking all these compliments and it's a wonderful thing. You know, so many people would kill to be in her place, and here she is going, this sucks. Like all these people that are trying to break into comics, having a chance for an editor to go, you're gonna be big. Like that would be a dream come true. And the protagonist that you're reading about is like not feeling that way. It's almost like impending
Yeah.
It's
doom for
imposter
her.
syndrome. That's it. Like it is basically imposter syndrome in there. And even though you've got it good, you know that you were lucky, you're good. There's still that nagging thought because it's very imposed. It's like liar, liar, liar. It's that own internalized imposter syndrome that she's coming to terms with without saying this is imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I'm just curious how other people
I
would,
think that's a good point to make
Yeah.
up or
Yeah.
bring up.
because yeah, not stereotypical, which I enjoyed though. Let me see here. Oh, Comic Slayer's in the chat.
That's my girl.
Fourth wall breaking was my favorite consistent bit. The part where her
Mhm.
friend was drunk and said, "Draw me with my butt out."
That
And
was great.
oh yeah, and I did. I flipped back the page just because I really didn't notice
I
to
love
see it.
that bit.
I
Well,
will
also
say,
her being upset, like, oh shit, is she dead? Like, oh my god, I can't believe this. And then she's like snores. So he's like, this bitch. I was like,
Yeah.
that's such a real true friend moment. Where you're like worry and you're like, this bitch got drunk.
oh yeah, and then she just pees. Oh man, this is a really good point right here because I thought the same thing. Like it's going to be interesting to see how fans approach her at conventions.
Oh yeah.
Like they gotta be careful what they say. Like how do they approach her after this? I love for her to revisit this. years from now and see how much it impacted her life. And because I like when things are revisited, especially the older you get, because she she still has a lot of years for.
Well, and I kind of worry about her. I mean, outside of the like that big shadow that's hanging behind that we're all thinking about. Like, I kind of worry about her getting herself in these situations because the guy that she saw obviously was a much older guy. Was anybody else worried for her? Because he's got like kids
Oh
that
yeah,
are.
that was a bummer date. You flew all
Yeah.
the way to America for this guy just to hang out with you on his couch, and at the end just be like, "No, I'm not in. I'm still in love with my ex-wife."
Well, I mean,
all the way over here.
But
stuff like that
she knew
happens,
that
but I was
gonna
more worried
happen,
about
though,
like,
right?
I'm like, she seems really young for this guy who's probably much more
Yeah.
like older. So I was kind of a little bit worried for her on that aspect, but like it ended up well, I guess.
That whole scene made me feel old. I'm like, like the guy is sitting, and I assume he's a real artist or a comic book writer. I don't know. So he's sitting down there. He's like, "Oh, so you want to do some drugs and like watch a movie?" I was like, "Man, I haven't felt like that in 20 something years." And then he's like, "Oh yeah, my wife or my ex-wife and my kids are coming over too. So you're cool with them." And she's only what, like 23, right? Like that's
Yeah.
a lot. So obviously
Yeah.
she had strong feelings for this guy, but I think through her monologue, like she knew it was gonna get there, just the way he was treating her. She was okay laying on his couch and sharing a bed with him, though. That seemed like she was okay with that.
Yeah, but listen,
you do a lot of
the
things
bar is
when you
low
have, yeah,
Wait,
like
wait. What did you say? The bar is low?
the bar is low sometimes when things aren't good in your life.
We've all been there. I know. That's what I said. She's got
Adam,
a
I
lot of
haven't
years.
tracked down who the guy is, but I will.
Why are you going to try to cancel that Birdman?
the cat?
Or cat, cat, I'm sorry.
Dark Wayfarer.
Yeah, I would notice things
I'm
like
sure
that.
she'll get a lot of people opening up to her about their depression. Yeah, I feel like she'll probably get some people that trauma dump on her a little bit. But it's hard because I'm sure it's gonna be awkward for her. But I think I understand on the basis of like social anxiety, where sometimes you're in the right place for it, but sometimes you're just not. You don't have it right then to be that there and present with all these people in line and that kind of thing. That's tough for a lot of people, especially like, and not just like, I mean, all types of people, comic book people, celebrities. A lot of them have to like really work up or even like take certain medicine to be able to handle that kind of interaction.
Well, and you have to do small talk, and obviously she's not good at it. She doesn't like it, doesn't know how to do it. I don't know how to. I hate small talk. I can't. Maddie, you've probably witnessed me, like people start to do small talk and I just walk away because I don't realize that they're trying to communicate with me. And I'm just like, I'm done. I'm bored. I can't do this.
But Tina's not neurodivergent though. She's just a normal human being without any weird things.
No, I'm just normal.
Totally neurotypical, this Tina. Did Tina say anything more this stuff that cancels Omar? Not yet.
Yeah, why Tina's always throwing me under the bus. Yes.
Omar's a good guy.
That is true. They do that. And let me tell you, when you go to the health department, they ain't easy with you because they know you've been naughty and they'll stick that thing right in there and it
Reed has
like
a good
ridiculous.
comment too. Making autobiographical
like,
work
anyways,
is so hard to accept the comments. Like when people tell me they like something, I feel happy that they liked it, but also sad they were sad too, if that makes sense. Absolutely. And I think any of us can, we don't create books or anything like that. We have talked about certain things on live stream and other people can relate. And, it's comforting, but it's also sad that like, hey, we're all in it.
Reed, it does seem impossible to deal with comments about something you're really just putting your entire psyche out there. That is true. And that's got to be difficult. Like, because, I mean, even within the book, she said, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. And I don't think I'm going to release anything. And she ended up doing it and getting it published. So I will say this is a very unique thing that's I haven't seen in as long as I've been reading comics. seeing I guess she's done 3-4 graphic novels, and then Image printing a autobiographical graphic novel, like not self-published, like Image Comics print, Image Walking Dead, Spawn printing it. That's crazy. And I'm sure, it was her call, but it's just crazy that they're like, yeah, we'll print this because it will sell. That's just unheard of. That's how much faith that they have in her art. So that says a lot about her, which again starts this whole downward spiral of pressure, which makes this book so meta.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She knows where this is gonna go.
Oh man, because even after reading this, I was like, oh my god, I'm obsessed. What am I gonna do? I was like, I can't even tweet at this girl. I feel like that's a lot to put on her. I don't even want to tweet her name, but I just want to talk about how I love her, but also I feel like I'm gonna have to tone it down.
You're gonna have to tone it down?
Yeah, but I will buy everything she ever puts out, ever, from now on until I'm dead.
I really like her art style. I like this, so I really want to read her other book that's not in this format, right? Like it's about a fictional character. So I'm curious how that is written. No, this was great. I'm so glad that this was suggested. No, my buddy Bunkmaster B, one of our moderators, Ben Uncles, he's the one that read it, and it was his book of the year last year. And hearing him talk about it, I wanted to read it, but I just didn't have the time. And when you were like, "Hey, let's do it this day," and I'm like, "Yes." Did you guys see the Bleeding Cool article about the books? The book? No,
but I don't often read Bleeding Cool though.
Whatever. You love Rich. I have been a guest on multiple at a guest at a con multiple times. It's difficult at the best of times. I cannot imagine doing a con and dealing with others' depressions. I really wish the best. I mean, it really depends on the type of personality you have, right? Like, you put yourself out there. I mean, that's part of the deal, though. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that everybody has the right to go and approach her and tell her, how they feel or share their story, but that's kind of part of this. It's when you put yourself out there, you put your name out there. And to be suffering from that kind of anxiety and depression, whew, I can't imagine. Like, especially dealing with the people at the convention after this, because sure enough, she will be approached by a lot of people. Like, you changed my life. You changed the way I think. Whatever it is, it's coming. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, the closest thing I can think that her book reminds me of, and it's not the art, because I feel like the art in this book and the way it's placed is so different and so new. But the way she tells stories and the way her dialogue is, the way she talks to herself. The only thing that reminds me of this is it's a manga called My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness. That's the only other book I can think of. Oh, it's very good. It's very good.
Who's the publisher on that?
Good question.
Good question.
I'm so sorry.
She Googles that.
as you look that up, her artwork, especially with her young self, reminds me of Ken Nimura's art. Do you all know who that is? I know Maddie and I have reviewed
What titles?
Well, he did I Kill Giants, so that's
Okay. Yeah.
Like, because it's very manga-ish, right? Very, very manga-ish. And that's what her art reminds me of. You said the black creature reminds you of whose artwork?
Mamoru Hosoda. He does Summer Wars. He's really popular for. He does Bell. Digimon the movie. He's the one that comes up with the same movie basic.
He did Wolf Children, right?
Yeah.
That guy?
Yeah.
It reminded me a little bit of what's his name? No Face from Studio Ghibli. I'm sorry, not Studio Ghibli, but Whisper the Heart. Spirited Away.
Spirited Away.
Y'all knew what I meant.
Yeah, I did.
Watching you struggle. It's okay.
It was 7 C's, by the way.
7 C's. He reported that the sales of the book have cost it to go back to print multiple times, and it's been consistent sales. Good.
I'm not surprised.
Good. I like hearing that. Like I said,
honestly, if they make another version of it, I'll buy that too. Because I think the artist, I love the art so much. Again, I have literally not been inspired to draw or create in a long time until this book happened.
I want to see you
I
draw.
want oversized.
I was upset, but it makes sense that there were no extras in this book. Like I said, it makes sense. Yeah. It's a nice closure. It ends.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way it should end. But I was like, oh, I'd like to have seen some sketches and maybe some photos, because I like when artists, like every book like this shows like photographs of like, these are my parents and this is me when I was a kid. Of course, you know, she's got to keep her hidden Catman away, so no photos of that guy.
Well, I think not including that is actually a boon to us, because she's putting it out there, but she doesn't want to put too much out there. You want to leave some mystery. This is her parents through
like
her eyes, you know, and her experience with them.
Wait. Which part's the mystery?
No, I mean, like, you want it like pictures of her parents, or
yeah, like the internet, Tina. All we need is her last name, and people are already Googling her.
I know, but I like it as is. I don't need any extras in the book, because I like seeing what she's experienced through her eyes. I don't want addendums that explain things to me. I want to take my own meaning from it. And I think she's taking her own meaning, putting it out there, and you're ingesting it as what she feels you should ingest.
Which is saying a lot, because she's very open about how she feels.
Well, it's a sort of contradictory in this book, and I thought that was nice and appeasing to me, is that she is self-aware, but in a lot of aspects, she is not aware of how that impact's going to happen to other people. And I think that's kind of what she realizes in the end, that people have these impacts that they're not always self-aware of, but they're making these impacts on other people.
It was kind of cool. I mean, you can also think about the way that when she would draw the people as animals, it kind of helps center her experience a bit, and almost adds to the isolation of it, because it feels like you're with her, you're reading with her, and it's like she's almost alone in a totally different kind of person than everyone else around her too.
Yeah, and there was pivotal moments where, and I couldn't quite figure out, and I still don't know exactly when she would choose to draw herself as this cartoonish character, this one side of her, versus her real face, what she would. So there's pivotal changes at certain points when she shows just a frame of her face as it is, not this cartoonish character, not this perceived character or her idealized self.
Yeah.
I think, I don't think that was ever... I don't think it was ever stated like how she was going to be portrayed. I think it just changed, right? And you're right. It never was like when she's sad or scared, she goes back to being her little kid face. You're right. It wasn't like...
But as an artist, like, you make these decisions for a reason. They may only be for your own self, but trying to interpret that as a reader and try to find a meaning
we don't know what she's thinking.
We don't know what she's thinking
at that moment. So it makes it, because in scenes that I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for her. She had her little derpy face with the big nose, and
I love that one.
Which is the one she carried throughout most of the book, right? And she even made fun of it by stretching out with Photoshop.
With the real,
So I found that, I'm like, oh, I'm surprised. I thought the same thing. I'm surprised she didn't use herself as a small child. And I'm glad that she didn't shy away from a couple of moments, because, you know, she was quoting the bullies. Like, that's the way she remembers it, and that's the way it was. And, you know, sometimes those kids grow up to be adult assholes.
Nurses.
That still use those words. So I'm glad that she did not shy away from that and put it in the book the way that she remembered it.
Oh, yeah. It's good comments. One from Josh. I'm not shocked by that. Showing sketches and process is not easy to do. That can be more difficult than your past. Art is all of you. It's all you. It takes talent to make the end of the book. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It takes talent to make the end of the book that back cover part of the story. I felt like that was an ambitious choice. Yeah. Absolutely.
I will check, JT. I haven't seen it, but thank you. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to add to this, because I think you all covered just about everything. It's a sequential book, right? I mean, she has a little bit of flashbacks to her childhood, explaining but not really explaining the way that why she is the way that she is. I did like her little friends and her making their own little theme song about just being freaks. That was kind of cute. She found friendship in a bunch of other kids. And then did she? I'm curious if my only question would be like, did you really eat ants? Because that is.
Well, kids do that. Like
Yeah.
like
Look at
I
Tina.
saw.
She probably.
Okay.
Kids do this.
Let me dive into this. So
Oh,
her as a
please.
child, I was like, this is my childhood to a point. Like what I would do to just like freak out kids and to get the bullies off my back, because you have to weird up or be the bully of the bullies to get kids off of you.
That's true.
I would, and now I can't do stuff. If food touches, I can't do it, but we would have a pot where in lunch we would just throw all the food together. We would put our extra money out there and I would eat it.
Tina's
and I would get the money. I can't do that. That stuff is gross now, but that's how you do. Like eating ants, I was like, yeah. If somebody asked me to eat an ant back then for money, just show I was the weird kid, I would have probably done that.
Okay, you were doing it because you were a weird kid. I was doing it because I needed money. So I've eaten like plastic before. Like, but
I was just really tall, so I just stopped the bullies from bullying other kids.
Nice.
That ran out eventually. Other people grew up, but I was the tallest kid in my elementary school
for a while. A while, huh? Yeah, I enjoy that part of her little past. I wanted some closure with her parents because I felt so bad for them.
That's an ongoing situation. That's not going to have closure.
But that's something that I have to remind myself. Oh, she's still in her 20s. Maybe when she's in her 30s, she'll appreciate them a little bit more.
I wanted closure on that poor dog.
Oh, yeah.
The dog? Which one? I'm trying to remember.
So there's a dog that she's sitting in the park, kind of like.
Oh, yeah, the one that she's after.
Yeah. And like something kind of comes of it, but nothing ever really does. Nothing resolves. Like she had a resolution for it. She wishes that she could tell us that she went and adopted the dog and found this, but basically it was another unresolved end.
Oh man, I love the fact that she left it in there, because I think most people, because you're right, like how does that tie into all this story that nothing gets resolved? Sure. But I just like the fact she left it in there, because some people would have been like, no, I need to take that stupid dog story out because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add anything to what I'm talking about. But I guess in a kind of way it does. It's her story.
I don't know what.
So I'm glad that she left it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got 15 minutes left. We could do the rating and then chill.
That sounds good.
Let's see.
I see that side eye.
Oh, I just make faces.
I got a film after this, so what else can I bring up? I like the use of color palettes that she put in here, and the times there were colors. It made sense. I kind of wish she had stuck to one theme is the only thing, and I mean that as in like there were cat people, and maybe that's just the way that I've trained my brain with different graphic novels. And there's her friend is a bird. But she's got this
didn't bother me one bit.
Bald head with a pointy nose. So I kind of wish like people were animals, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I just like that.
And I have read like B-Stars and all sorts of stuff, so it's like no big deal.
Yeah.
Do they do that in
BoJack Horseman also does that too, yeah.
There's a bald man in B-Stars? Like a
no,
bald
man? No, but there's all types of like
that's what I mean. Like I wish that she had done that with everybody. Like stuck to like animals, but again, that comes from like anthropomorphic animals.
Yeah.
I mean, she even had VR chat in here with the Knuckles like meme, and I think she even did an homage to Chainsaw Man with power or not power. You know who I'm talking about? Red hair, tie.
Yeah.
She might not, but like. That's what it looked like. You could be anybody. Well, I wish I could be the controller of,
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking anyways.
Okay. But yeah, that's all I had to add. I enjoyed this. And Tina, would you buy your own copy? Would you
Yeah. If I had some extra cash, I'd definitely buy it. If I stumbled into a comic book store or a bookstore or was just happening online and wandered into I would absolutely purchase this on my own.
Okay.
I could see myself buying this for people.
That's a
I
good
feel
book.
like this is it's gonna go on the list where like Upgrade Soul is, where I'm just always trying to peddle it on people.
You did your
Pretty much
job
it.
because it got a hardcover, and I'm sure this
And a
probably
hardcover
will
could have been better, but at least we got one.
too. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that cover, but whatever. At least it came in some kind of deluxe edition. Yeah, this was really good, and I love reading books like this in between superhero
Yeah.
breaks. So it's a nice little fresh breath of air. Yeah, I got nothing else to add. Tina, anything else to add?
It reminded me in a good way of a 90s mixzine, but set now with an autobio. Just the whole picture is just sort of a collage of her life, collage of the media that she is representing in art, Photoshop, all this. It's just all together a nice collage, and it comes together very nicely.
Okay.
So you do have to rate it. That's part of the show. Out of
Yeah,
10.
Tina.
Everyone does. It's a 10 out of 10 for me forever, always.
I would
love
say
it.
10 out of 10, yeah.
10 out of 10. No imperfections. Oh man,
There's always going to be something
tough.
that you want more. So I like things that leave me wanting for more in a good way.
This was really good. I don't know. Yeah, I think a 9 out of 10. This was really good. It was one of my better reads lately. It was excellent. So I may change my mind later down the road and reread it, and it'd be like a 10 out of 10. But yeah, this is definitely
8 out of 8.
This is definitely one of those book of the year so far. This
This is going on my bracket. I'm building a bracket this year.
Like a physical bracket?
Like you would do like with sports.
Yeah, I don't do
like
that.
March Madness.
No.
Like fantasy football? What are you talking about?
Yeah, and people get to vote on it. If they win, then I'll send them something.
So you put book against book, right? Like this versus Upgrade Soul?
But is it you just...
It's going to be me and Kristen.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the Comic Slayer. Yeah, we're going to make a bracket.
You're not letting people vote on this. You're just like, no, only
Well,
us.
we're gonna choose
only our decisions.
We have to choose from what we read this year, else it won't work.
The bracket idea is a nice idea. I like that.
Yeah. I think it's be fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, cool. We can. I know you have filming to do.
I do, but I can chill for a little bit.
I do recommend people at home, if you liked this, you're looking for something that's, I don't know, a similar type of like overly vulnerable, maybe TMI like Tina. I do recommend My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness. That is a memoir manga by Nagata Kabi. I really liked it. I liked her first 2 solo exchange diary books. Really liked them.
It was pretty nice. Maddie lent it to me. She basically like dropped it in my lap one day.
Because I love that book.
You're like, read this.
It's required reading. I gave it to my niece even. She's older. It's okay. But I gave it to my niece. Oh, JT, I love A Sentence of a Bookworm. I've only ever watched it though, because I can't imagine spending all the money to buy all the light novels.
JT's in
So it has light novels and it has a manga version. I'm currently collecting the manga version of the light novels. Yeah.
Oh, I watched all the
current.
show. It's an isekai. This woman dies and wakes up as this young girl.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have books there, and so she's got to fix it, and then like come up with all these things, and they're always like, "Why are you so smart?" And she's like, "I just read a lot of books."
But the world's much more than
it's more
lets on
complicated than that.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's really good. There's like 50 episodes. They never let us have 50 episodes of anything. It's so good.
I do love the fact that this isekai has become such a huge genre lately.
A little too much.
I mean, Magic Knight Rirth was technically
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean that's old school. I mean now, holy crap, there's so many.
It's so much.
If we're gonna go back, you might as well go back to the Wizard of Oz, right? I mean,
it's everywhere, and they all have like such long titles.
And they're so ridiculous, but I'm sure some of them are really good. I just haven't had a chance to read them, and I'm so out of touch with.
Shield Hero is still my favorite one.
Is that an isekai?
Yeah, it's very good.
That one's kind of knocked down on my list.
Wow, Tina. It's great because
right
for him at the beginning. He can't be overpowered because nothing's going right for him. It's great. Oh, love it though.
I really want to watch the one with where the guy gets, I guess, reincarnated or sucked into the world. No, it's sucked into the world, and his only thing is he can buy stuff from an online store through his menu, and so he cooks for people and characters. Yeah, that's his power. Like, you know how like
Okay.
Shield Hero, he has his shield. This guy can bring up a menu and purchase things, and it'll appear in that world.
Well, that sounds cozy.
It's very
How long
cozy. It
can
looks
you
really
make a
cute.
story about that?
Hey, I'm reading Delicious Dungeon Meshi right now.
Yes.
Oh,
guy-
I really want to read that.
You heard
That's on my
about it?
to-read list.
They're going down this dungeon to go save someone, but they don't have a lot of funds. They don't have the money. They can't sell their equipment. They're not going to make it down to the dragon to save his sister. So they
Is
have
that
to
an
cut
isekai?
monsters along the way. No,
Yeah.
It's not an
it's not an
isekai.
isekai.
No.
Oh,
I'm
It's
saying like I thought you were like, is this
cozy
real?
fantasy is really big. I'm working on a list to eventually make a video sometime this year of cozy fantasy comic book reads, because cozy fantasy novels.
They have a
The big
cookbook
topic.
too.
You know what I really liked was what was it? It's Spice Wolf?
Oh
You
yeah,
remember that?
Spice and Wolf?
Spice and Wolf. Man,
That's
I love
cozy.
that. And I was really upset that it wasn't a manga, that it was based on a light novel. And I'm like, I don't read books without pictures.
No.
There's a lot that are based on light novels.
Josh
Yeah.
said, I fell asleep and woke up as a middle-aged Minotaur businessman is my favorite.
That
That sounds like something I'd
That's-
like.
I came
I'd
up with
watch
that title on Omnibros.
Really?
Because I was making fun of all these titles, which are very similar
See,
to that.
I would read this.
course you would.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, I'm so out of the loop on what is new manga that I know there's a huge like influx of all these isekais, which is amazing because that's the kind of stuff that I loved like growing up, and it was very rare to find here in America. Outside of things like Magic Knight Ray Earth, that's why I think I love Magic Knight Ray Earth so much.
Yeah,
Little
just been
girls
picking
get
stuff up.
transported. Well, what was the one after that? Like it was big here, Escaflowne. That
Oh,
one.
God, I loved
Escaflowne.
Escaflowne.
Yeah, and then here and there, now and then, here and there, and no, now and then, here and there. Yeah, I think M FedEx is the only other person that loves that one that I was talking about. At first, I thought Omar said Spice World. No, I said Spice Wolf.
Chris and I love Spice World. We talk about it all the time.
The movie.
Yeah, and
Oh.
Spice Girls.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hayden keeps us updated if anything Spice Girls happens. I agree,
'Cause-
Hayden.
I do think it's amazing that that manga is selling too, though. So there is a demand for this stuff. And I wonder when the big two are going to try stories like that again. Because I remember when Marvel tried to do it with X-Men, and they just didn't sell as well. Like Iceman and Jean Grey, those titles were very manga-ish, like in the way they were written and the way they were drawn. And unfortunately, they just didn't sell that well. I mean, they
It's
lasted
all about
more
the
than
marketing, though. I think if you're going to do those titles, you can't do single issues. You need to release it in graphic novel format, and they will do well. I mean, the DC young adult line, that's kind of like the similar line, but, you know, does that, and it does well. Like, you just do it as a graphic novel, you don't do single issues, and make sure that you're marketing it well. Slice of life.
But that still seems like a big risk for them because they've pigeonholed themselves into this one market. It seems like right now.
There though, and it's probably
and I think
the LGBTQ is who wants it.
Well, I mean, they know it's there, but the hard part is how to balance the direct market and book market.
That's true.
You know, the book market is what keeps a lot of these smaller publishers around huge. Like Dark Horse kills it in the book market with a lot of the kids' books that they have IPs for. And Marvel does really well with their digest size books, but then that leaves the comic book market around, and there goes all your comic book stores, the mom and pop shop, and which is all part of America, right? Like that American pop. Speaking of Spice Girls, they're back together in May for that coronation. What?
Yeah.
What?
Well, yeah.
The BKV Mark Teixeira. Yeah, that stuff. Like that kind of stuff. that they were trying to do. Mystique was one of those titles.
Oh.
Well, that was the tsunami wave. That's what they called
the Comic Slayer is a really good question. She's asking if anyone knows of a great new graphic novel Kickstarter she can back. Oh my gosh, I do. I hope you all know that Reed Chancellor has a new book coming out.
I did.
And you can Kickstart it right now. It's about this group of teachers that have a rock band. They're going on tour during spring break. And if you Kickstart it at certain levels, you can get a vinyl. There's actually music you can own from that book. Maybe they can drop it in the... Yep, there we go. James got before Kristen did.
Good.
This is what James was doing on was it on Monday?
James is quick.
James
He's my
good
guy.
People. But yeah, I'd like to have Reed on someday to talk about it with him, to talk about the Kickstarter. That would be good. And I just need to look at my schedule to see what time I can do it. So I do have to get going to record these videos. Thank you, Maddie, for inviting me on. March 21st. Do you want to review the Thor book? That's
yeah.
The omnibus?
Absolutely.
Because I have 3 copies. I'm going to give one away, and one's for you and one's for Amanda. So I was like, oh, yeah.
I will talk about Jason and Thor anytime.
I figure it'd be a good one to revisit. You know, it's my birthday month. We can do that one. No X-Men, but I'll come back from time to time to remind you there are good X-Men stories.
Okay, sounds good.
You're not going to make her reread The Dark Phoenix?
She's going to reread it. Can
I be drunk?
Okay, we're going to revisit it. Yeah, you can be drunk, and I'll be the sober one this time. You and Amanda can be drunk, and you'll love it.
Well, thank you guys. I'm not entirely sure about a show next week because that is Valentine's Day. But I will be back the week after with a comic book that I forgot the name of, and I need to ask Omar if he can download for me. It's some 80s thing.
Some 80s thing?
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
But I'll be sure to post about it.
Who chose the book?
Ren did.
Okay, some 80s thing. Okay,
yeah.
Well, let me know.
It was referenced. They referenced this book in the newest Critical Role season.
Can't help you with that because I haven't even seen the old Critical Role season. Bingo love for Valentine's Day.
We'll see. I might change my mind. Well, I don't know if I have plans yet.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Maddie, sign us off. This is your
thing. Thank you guys for hanging out. I hope you like this video. Comment down below if you're catching us later. Tell us your thoughts on It's Lonely at the Center of the World. Earth. Hope you subscribe for future videos, and I'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.